Gore-Tex versus membranes. Gore-Tex versus membranes, or Gore-Tex? It's a good question, isn't it? In the following few minutes, I'm gonna share my opinion on this topic. So if you have nothing to do, grab your favorite drink and stay with me. Welcome back. As a user and long-term owner of both types of riding gear, Gore-Tex and membranes, I believe that I'm ready to share my opinion on this topic. I'm gonna tell you everything, the pros and cons as well. I hope that this will help you to make the right choice and find the suitable gear exactly for your type of trips. Please listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you, because all of this might help you to save some money, even that you might need to pay a little bit more in the beginning. So let's start. The first option is going to be Gore-Tex riding gear. The model that I use now for more than 2 years is Revit Dominator GTX. I'm a happy owner of this brand and model, but it is more or less the same with anything that you can find on the market, as long as made from Gore-Tex. First, I would like to start with the cons. Number 1, it is expensive. Number 2, it is heavy. It's really heavy. Number 3, it is hot on the summer, especially if you ride on the temperatures over 30 degrees. And the fourth, it requires a specific maintenance or specific washing materials to clean it. You cannot just drop it in your washing machine with a normal powder and clean it. This will destroy your membrane. But let me tell you a little bit more about these 4 cons. I told you that this type of riding gear is expensive, but how much exactly? Well, I cannot tell you with numbers because every brand and model is different, but we are talking about the prices over 1,000 euros. For example, my Revit Dominator GTX cost almost 2,000 euros. And this is way more than the average rider could pay. Alright, it might be a normal price in Western Europe, but in the rest of the world, it sounds like impossible task. The second was that it is heavier. I can tell you for sure that this Gore-Tex jacket got at least 1 kilogram more weight than the normal non-Gore-Tex jacket. And it is just because it is made from 3 different layers of Gore-Tex, one on the top of another. Of course, you can choose the different options with 2 layers or maybe even 1 layer, but it is not going to be that effective or that protective than the jacket that I've got with 3 layers of Gore-Tex. And of course, this makes it heavy. Too hot in the summer? Yes, absolutely. Any temperature over 30 degrees is highly noticeable. Even though I've got these big ventilation pockets everywhere on this jacket, when it became too hot, you start to sweating a lot. And this water needs to go through the ventilation pockets and through the Gore-Tex membranes, but it cannot be done that fast and you start to overheat. That's why every time when I know that I'm gonna ride only in the hot climate, I will prefer to have my other jacket because it is just light and you don't have this dampness in the hot days. You don't feel it that bad as you're gonna feel it with the Gore-Tex material. Of course, this coin got 2 different sides. It might be very good when you ride on around 30-35 degrees, but once you go over this, then you have to close all the vents, all the zips and everything. And this jacket actually, this Gore-Tex jacket will work way better on the high temperatures over 40 degrees, for example, because it will insulate more than the normal ventilated or mesh jacket. But all of this we have to discuss maybe another time in another video. For now, the purpose of this is to show you the cons of the Gore-Tex material. So the temperatures over 30 degrees, much better with light jacket. The fourth was that you cannot just wash it with a normal washing powder because it will clog the small holes of the breathing material and it will actually destroy it. You have to make it with a specific cleaning material that they sell in their websites, specifically for Gore-Tex. Or one hint from me, you can use a liquid soap, of course on very low temperature, something like 30 degrees, without fast spinning, and then you'll be all right. But it is not very good idea to wash it very often. Maybe twice per year is fine, and you don't have to use a dryer. This is definitely forbidden. But on the normal jackets, you can just drop in the washing machine, wash it, dry it, and that's it. With all of this being said, it looks like the only pro of this high expensive Gore-Tex material over the normal membranes is that this is waterproof as it is, and with the other jackets you should have your raincoat or rain membranes inside. Is that right? Well, yes and no at the same time. Even this term in waterproof is not really understood from many people. Yes, this Gore-Tex membrane is designed to protect you from the rain, but nothing lasts forever. Sooner or later, it will also start leaking. Of course, it will protect you from most of the rains that you will hit on the road, but if you have a case with 5, 6, 7 hours heavy rain, it will start leak. Of course, it's not going to be that bad as you're gonna have with a normal riding gear, but you're gonna feel it. First, it will be around your neck, maybe around your wrists, under the jacket, between the jacket and the pants, but after, I don't know how many hours, you will finish completely wet. Not because the waterproof membrane is penetrated and all the water goes in, just because you cannot protect your body in 100% with a jacket and pants. Wait a minute, Pavlin, so you want to tell me that this high expensive Gore-Tex riding gear that cost almost 2,000 euros is not even 100% waterproof? Yes, this is exactly what I told you. Have you ever seen 100% waterproof suit? It looks like this. It might be a good idea to stay on the boat on the windy and rainy days, maybe to go diving, but definitely not a great idea to ride motorcycle hours, days, weeks, months with this gear. Because first and the most important, it is not breathable. It is not breathable. And with this we should finish the conversation, but I will continue even more. You won't have the other features like ventilation pockets to open in the hot days. You won't have anything else that you have on your riding gear that helps you with your riding comfort every single day without even notice it. I have one very interesting story with a boots that I bought many years ago. On the label was said 100% waterproof, and they were. But later I found out that the waterproofness inside of the boots was made because they add a nylon layer. So somewhere in the middle of Central Asia, my boots or my feet actually start boiling, and it was so painful until I cut the layers and saw the nylon inside and just remove it. So with 100% waterproof suit, you cannot stay even a week. One more very important moment that most of you probably don't know is that a Gore-Tex membrane got a lifetime warranty. And this might sound like a hoax to you or something that it's not really true, but let me tell you a personal story, my personal experience. In 2016, I bought my first Gore-Tex riding gear. It was from Revit, Poseidon GTX. I was very happy with this riding gear. It was the first expensive and quality riding gear that I've got on my trips. And yeah, as I said, I was very happy owner of it. But in 2019, 3 years later, during my trip around New Zealand, it started leaking a little bit here, around the zip line. And then it was a long day, a lot of rain, and at the end of the day I finished completely wet, especially here on the front part, everything was wet. My back was dry, but the front was really wet. So after I went back home, I wrote an email to the company that I bought the gear, explained them the situation and everything, and guess what? They sent me brand new Poseidon GTX 2 because they don't make the first model anymore. So they sent me the new model, brand new, and as an exchange of my suite that was leaking. So this is what you're buying. Yeah, you have to pay a little bit more, but in the normal use, like once per week or a few weeks per year, this suite will last many years. In my situation, I use this suite for 3 long trips, which means more than 60,000 kilometers, and I use it. I'm not very gentle owner. I slept many times on the ground. I dropped it in many places. I rode in many raining days and muddy days and cold days, anything that you can imagine. So in one normal use, this gear will actually last many years. And in the case it fails, like you have some kind of problem with the membrane, you can exchange it. So one normal person can buy one suite and use it for the whole life. The gear that I use now is this Dominator GTX. I got it for at least 2 years now. I'm very happy owner, still love it. Very comfortable. It is heavy, but I get used to it and like it. I prefer to ride it with all the time. And I can tell you that it's definitely hold like 4 or 5 hours heavy rain. For the simple drops here and there, absolutely not a problem. But let me now switch to the normal non-Gore-Tex riding gear. This is Revit Sound 4 non-Gore-Tex riding gear with 3 different layers. It has warm linings and waterproof linings. This was the jacket that I used on my trip around Europe this summer, and to be honest, I love it. It was the perfect choice for the hot days that I've got there, and I will definitely use it again and again. It has this big ventilation pockets here everywhere, and I'll probably make a long-term review very soon. Let's now see what are the pros of this type of riding gear. First, and maybe the most important, it is way cheaper than Gore-Tex, maybe double less. The second is that it's lighter, noticeable lighter. So it is very good when you ride around, especially on the dirt road, you have more flexibility, you don't feel the jacket, it is very good, I can confirm that. The third is that it got perfect ventilation because of all of these zip pockets everywhere. It is good to have it on the hot days, and I can prove this as well after my trip around Europe. In Spain and Portugal, I've got temperatures over 40 degrees. I can survive with this. And the fourth is that you can wash it everywhere, anytime. It looks like all of the cons of the Gore-Tex riding gear are pros of this, right? Yes, and the only con is that it needs 2 layers to keep you dry and warm. Is that make it the best choice for traveling around the world? Well, I'm not sure. And let me explain you why, to tell you my arguments. If I know that I'm going to travel in the area where the temperatures are 30 degrees or less, I will always prefer to travel with my Gore-Tex riding gear because it will give me the flexibility to travel in any weather conditions without need to worry and carry all of this waterproof stuff. Only the rain jacket, because I'm gonna have it anyway. I always have it with me. I use it with many purposes. In the very heavy rain, if I know from the beginning of the day that it will be rain all day, I'm gonna have it on the top. Also, I use it as a one more layer in the cold days, so I'm gonna have it anyway, but I won't have to have the rest of the waterproof layers and all of this stuff. And you might say, why not? They are not heavy, they are very light. Yeah, they are light, but they are very bulky. And you have to find a space in your luggage to keep it. And believe it or not, but when you try to be minimalist with a minimum luggage as possible, you won't have enough space because they will require something like this. If you have saddlebags, they will fill one of your saddlebags, just your warm and waterproof layers. This is the reality. That's why I prefer to have just the Gore-Tex if I knew that the temperatures will be low. But for my example now around Europe, I use this one on the top because I knew that it's going to be hot, and I've got my Gore-Tex pants on the bottom because I hate this situation to stop in the middle of nowhere and try to put all of these layers inside, especially the pants. It is so uncomfortable, and once you have it and you ride on the rain, and when the rain stops, you have to remove it because you feel all of this dampness, so you have to stop again, remove all of these layers. It's pain in the ass, honestly. As I told you, around Europe now, I use this jacket, but I took with me only the waterproof membrane, which is a very thin, very light, and I kept it on the rear side in this pocket. And actually, a guy from the channel suggested that instead of having this waterproof layer inside, I can have it on the top of the jacket, like this. Excellent idea, thank you very much. Every time when I see the rain, I just stop, needs like a 1 minute, remove it from the pocket, wear it on the top. Fantastic, easy peasy. But it was possible only because this is very flexible, stretchable material. I haven't seen this before for any membrane, so this is something that you have to have in mind. For this model, yes, but it's not going to be possible for every model. I'm sure that I can have this on the top even of my Dominator GTX because it is about the same size. Final conclusion, like anything else in the life, there is no one universal riding gear that will work well in all weather conditions. The one that covers 90% of my requirements is Gore-Tex. Of course, with its cons and limitations that I already told you. Your situation could be absolutely different, and I really hope that this video gave you some ideas or some directions to look for when you make your choice. If you want to learn more about long motorcycle trips, you can always check the rest of the videos on the channel. I've got almost 1000. If you want to learn but you don't have the time, you might consider joining my online course. Over there, for only 8 hours, you'll be able to learn the most important and finally start with your dream adventures. At the moment, it's even on 50% discount. All the details will be in the description down below. See you next time. Ciao.